Hello, everyone. I am Dr. E. Michelle Mickens. I'm the CEO of Live for Change, and Live for Change is a global strategic leadership development consultancy. One of the things that I enjoy doing is a SWOT analysis with organizations. But one thing that I also enjoy doing is individual SWOT analysis. And for those of you all who aren't sure what a SWOT analysis is, it's simply a way to analyze one's strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And so I was reviewing some material, and actually, out of my Bust the Fuds journal, it's called the Fudbuster Journal, I was reviewing some of the prompts. And one prompt that caught my attention is a quote. And this quote is from Louisa May Alcott. And this is what she said that I thought was fitting, considering I'm talking about a SWOT analysis and more specifically, talking about strengths. Now, I mentioned the FUD Buster. FUDs, you will hear me talk about very frequently if you follow me. And that's an acronym that stands for fear, uncertainty, doubt syndrome. Fear, uncertainty, and doubt syndrome. And most of us, in some form or fashion, we are battling with the FUD syndrome. Today, again, I was reviewing some material and I ran across this quote that I have in my Fudbuster journal, and it reads this way: He who believes is strong, he who doubts is weak. Strong conviction precedes great action. And again, this is Louisa May Alcott. And I thought that this particular quote is fitting when we are looking at our strengths, our weaknesses, when we're looking at opportunities and threats. And so let's start with our strengths because it's often easy to look at our areas of weaknesses. It's often the area that most of us or many of us will focus on. We'll look at what we're not doing right, what we don't do well, what we don't know, and we park there. And what happens is that fear, uncertainty, and doubt syndrome that rises. And we begin to feel less than, we compare ourselves with others, we don't value who we are. So, in addition to being a leadership developer, if you will, I am a leadership coach, a mental health coach. I am certified in those areas, and life coach. And as a coach, I really want to encourage you to focus on those things that are good. Nothing is wrong with acknowledging and knowing, because it's important that we are self aware. Know your weaknesses, know your strengths, know your weaknesses, recognize opportunities, and pay attention to threats. That's the SWOT analysis. But today, today happens to also be the first day of spring in 2023. This is what, March the 20th. So let's do a SWOT analysis together. But let's start with strengths. What are your strengths? Now, many of you all should be able to run with that. You should be able to create a list plus of all of the areas, all of the things that you do really well. So I want you to outline, list all of the things that you are very good at, all of your strengths, things that you do well. And I want you to take that a step further. Look at those things and answer the question, why is it that you do these things well? Now, I would venture to believe you do them well partly because that's something that you enjoy doing. Maybe perhaps it comes naturally. And I want you to elaborate why you enjoy doing them. How does it make you feel when you're engaged with in these areas? And then I want to ask you to or answer the question, how am I strengthening my strengths? How am I strengthening the things that I do very well? How am I constantly challenging myself to do better, to go higher, and to better utilize my strengths. And when you are feeling less than, when you're feeling poorly, when you're feeling like you're not as good as somebody else, because understand there are people who are looking at you and they are comparing themselves to you and they are admiring you. Some might even be jealous of you because they see your strengths. Now, this is something else I want you to do because a lot of times we don't spend enough time acknowledging the good that's in ourselves. So if you're struggling a little bit with, well, what am I good at and what are my strengths, ask someone. Ask family members, ask your husband, ask your sister, your brother, ask your best friend, ask people who are close to you, who are in constant contact with you. Ask them, what do they see as your strengths? And write them down. And you may very well agree, or it may catch you off guard and say, I never thought about that. So, whatever these strengths are, list them, acknowledge them, find ways to build on them so that you can become stronger and even more effective in those areas. Ask yourself, why? Why do I enjoy this? And find ways to engage in using these strengths. That's all the instruction I have for you today. That's all I want to challenge you to do today. Um, and then perhaps we will get into depth more as it pertains to working on a SWOT analysis. Until then, you take care. And if you want to connect with me, I'm Dr. E. Michelle Mickens. I will make sure that you can connect through Live for Change, and that information will be in the description. All right? Have a blessed day. Take care.